gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you are listening to the most electrifying podcast in all of internet radio today. You are listening to the Sportswire. My name is Big Daddy Cool Video Apicella, and I have a jam-packed show with you today. This is episode 2 of the relaunch. It's not Sportswire Game Time anymore. But now I gotta say that we have so much distribution, it's hard to keep track of it. So, not only can you find Sportswire through Spreaker, okay? However, you can also find Sportswire on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, Radio Public. Let's see. Did I say Stitcher and Spotify? Yes, I believe I did. Castbox, Deezer, Podcast Addict, and Podbean, as well as it goes up to YouTube as well. Plus, it goes up to Twitter, automatically, and, Facebook's having a problem. But anyways, I want to thank you all for listening and downloading. Try to start leaving us some 5-star reviews if you like what you hear, because that'll be great, and I want to start attracting some sponsors, because, hell, I think the idea of doing a podcast is start making money off of it. I also want to thank YouTube for providing with the new intro music. I got tired of using Eminem and Rob Zombie. Not that I don't like their music. Eminem is not a supporter of President Trump and has said some very derogatory things about him, which is why I don't want to use his work anymore. Rob Zombie is a President Trump supporter as far as I know. But I also want to monetize this stuff, so I was able to get free rights, free copyrighted music through YouTube, so that's what we're using now for our theme song, so to speak. I want to thank you all for listening. This is a jam-packed week, like I said. A lot going on. May 19th coming up quickly. That's WWE's Money in the Bank pay-per-view event live on the WWE Network. That is coming up from Hartford, Connecticut. I am actually broadcasting to you from New Britain, Connecticut, so it's about 20 minutes up the road a little bit. I won't be going. I'll be watching it at work on the WWE Network live. But I want to thank you all, like I said, for listening. A lot of stuff coming out this past week on the Twitter machine regarding the former Dean Ambrose. Now he's going back to what the name that he used in the Indies, which was Jon Moxley, or Mox, is what the promo showed. Well, his Twitter handle is now Jon Moxley, but it looks pretty cool. Now, I am not familiar with Jon Moxley's work prior to him coming to the WWE and debuting with the Shield. I've seen bits and pieces of it. I've seen some, CZW, Combat Zone Wrestling footage, him being very bloodied and in death matches, whatever. And I think that's what he's looking forward to. Maybe an MMA career, possibly. I don't know. It's tough to decipher. Maybe it's just a rebranding by WWE. That's some of the rumors that are out there, but I doubt it, because WWE likes to have, number one, that would kill their entire product if they brought someone back under a different name, so close to, their stuff, and or so close to him leaving, I should say. However, the fact is that I want to just touch on what he could possibly be doing, now that he's out of the WWE. There were some Twitter people that were saying, oh, well, he's still got, the 90-day non-compete clause. No, he does not. That's for people who get released from the WWE. Dustin Rhodes, I guess, because he was I don't think he was under a full-time performer, full-time wrestler talent contract. I think he just was able to get out of his contract. They respect him enough to just let him go. Most people that get their releases have a 90-day non-compete clause, because everybody's like, oh, well, he can't be a double or nothing because it's only, less than a month away. He can be. When you allow your contract to expire, you don't have that 90-day compete clause because you're not being released. You're just letting it go. So he can, if that's the direction he's going, Jon Moxley could appear at Double or Nothing and be part of AEW, whether it be for a one-off or a full run, a contracted run. Who knows? I will say that'll definitely bring some more eyes to Double or Nothing and to AEW, and it'll help when they actually announce their TV deals coming up, because the rumor, the rumor and innuendo have that the Turner networks are going to be broadcasting AEW, TBS and TNT, on Tuesday nights opposite SmackDown, which moves. I'm sorry, on Tuesday nights once SmackDown moves to Fox to Friday nights. So they'll be unopposed by WWE, which is a good move. I mean, the only thing they'll be on Tuesday nights on WWE is 205 Live on WWE Network, and not many people watch that, as far as I know. I don't. I see it in the feed anyways, but so that's the thing. But I wonder how or why Turner Networks would want to get back into the sports entertainment professional wrestling game after what happened with WCW 18 years ago. I don't think that it's I know it's still Time Warner, but I don't think that AOL Time Warner ever fully materialized. I'm looking it up now, if my fingers could work. Okay, so it's just a Warner Media Group. That's what it's called. But still, they kicked WCW off because they didn't want wrestling on there. And actually, it's now owned by AT&T and headquartered in New York City. So it's crazy. I'm just reading this quickly off Wikipedia. Warner Media is an American multinational mass media and entertainment conglomerate owned by AT&T and headquartered in New York City. It was originally formed in 1990 as Time Warner from the merger of Time Incorporated and Warner Communications. The company has film, television, cable, and publishing operations, and currently consists largely of the assets of the former Warner Communications, HBO, which is HBO, obviously home box office network, and Turner Broadcasting System, which was acquired in 1996 when Time Warner merged with Turner Broadcasting. Its assets include Warner Brothers, Warner Media Entertainment, consisting of the entertainment assets of Turner Broadcasting System and HBO, as well as Warner Media's soon-to-launch streaming service, and Warner Media News and Sports, consisting of the news and sports assets from the former Turner Broadcasting Systems, as well as AT&T Sportsnet, which means it's got CNN and TBS, TNT, True TV. So it all depends on. I believe True TV is part of the Turner. But yeah, it was Time Warner from 1990 to 2001, then AOL Time Warner from 2001 to 2003, and they dropped AOL after 2003. Gee, I wonder why. So that is what it is. So like I said, I wonder why. I wonder if this thing even mentions WCW. I didn't realize that Time Warner actually owned Six Flags for a while, which is strange. I didn't know. It doesn't say anything about WCW in its Wikipedia file at all. So, which is, I guess they just didn't want WCW anywhere near Time Warner anyway. So, but it all worked out the way it had to. The reason why I say that is because obviously at the time when AOL bought Time Warner, or AOL merged with Time Warner, they didn't want wrestling on their networks, which is why the WWE bought WCW. And if you no matter what the narrative is that you listen to, it's the same thing. Is that Eric Bischoff had put a deal together with Fusion Media Ventures for something around 40 or $60 million to buy WCW. The one caveat being that they kept the Nitro and Thunder. I don't know about the Saturday night and all that, but definitely Nitro and Thunder TV time slots for Mondays, and at that time I think it was Wednesday nights. But then Jamie Kellner, who was the guy coming in from AOL Time Warner, said, "Nope, we don't want. You could have everything, but no distribution, no TV rights, because they didn't want TV on their network or wrestling on their networks." And obviously, without television, the deal with Bischoff and Fusion fell through, which is why Vince came in and bought it for a reported $2 million. That number has changed throughout the years. I think it was somewhere like $3 million cash up front, and then after 5 years they had to spend so much in advertising through Time Warner, but so it could have been roughly around $15 million that WWE bought WCW for. And look at that! Look at how much money they're making off it now with the network and everything. So that's what that is. So could AEW come to a Turner network? We'll see. We'll see. I mean, maybe the fact now, 18 years later, they see a viable alternative. WCW was never a viable alternative. And the other thing is, well, I mean, if Bischoff had bought it and Fusion had bought it, it wouldn't have been, run by Turner Broadcasting anymore. Now AEW is owned by the Khan family and run by, Tony Khan and Cody and the Bucks. So it remains to be seen where they end up. But like I said, the rumor has it with Turner Networks. But from what I hear, they're going to have a really big network, to broadcast their show. Double or nothing. Now, I don't necessarily consider All In as a AEW show. I don't even think they do. AEW, All In was more Cody and the Bucks and Omega and all that, but it was more Ring of Honor that provided the infrastructure and the rings and everything. But this is Double or Nothing will actually be AEW's first show, pay-per-view, and the card is shaping up to be quite impressive for a company that hasn't really had a show yet. I mean, obviously they're taking some rivalries that existed outside of AEW with Cody and Dustin Rhodes, brother versus brother, Jericho and Omega, which was from New Japan. I want to see what the Double or Nothing card is right now. There we go. AEW Double or Nothing. Already got a Wikipedia page, and it's already sold out. Oh, gosh. And then they're going to be having a Fighter Fest later on in July, I believe, at the Jacksonville Jaguar Stadium to put money towards, raise money for veterans, I believe, which is fantastic, and I like that. I really do. So here's the current card thus far for AEW's Double or Nothing. Hangman Adam Page versus Pac, the former Neville from WWE. I believe that's for the AEW Championship match. There's SoCal Uncensored, which is Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian, and Scorpio Sky versus SEMA, and then two other guys to be announced later. I think SEMA is probably a Mexican guy, if I'm not mistaken. Oh no, he's Japanese. So, either way. Then we've got Kenny Omega versus Chris Jericho, which that'll, 2, Omega Jericho 2. It's going to be a great match again. The first one was fantastic. And for me to say that with, about Omega is, he's a great athlete. I just, some of the stuff he's done isn't fantastic. Dr. Britt Baker versus Nyla Rose versus Kylie Ray, 3-way female talent match. Nyla Rose, I use the word female loosely. She's a transgender, first transgender female athlete in wrestling. How do I feel about it? Let her live her dream. I mean, she's gone through the change. Of course, she being born a man and having the muscle structure of a male gives her an advantage, of course. Granted, professional wrestling is, scripted, and it's, more of an exhibition, choreographed, whatever. So I don't have that much of a big deal of it. But then Cody versus Dustin Rhodes. Then we have the over the budget battle royal, which I feel is absolutely hilarious how they call that. Then the current people in that match are Sonny Kiss, Kip Sabian, Brandon Cutler, Ace Romero, Glacier. Is that the Glacier that we all know from WCW? Yes, it is. So Glacier is in there. Brian Pillman Jr., Sunny Days, MJF. I don't know who MJF is. Maxwell Jacob Friedman. I know he's got some heat with some people, from what I've heard. Joey Janela, Chuck Taylor, Trent Beretta, and then they'll add more in later on. Then they've got the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson. They're going to be taking on the Lucha Brothers, Pentagon Jr. and Ray Phoenix. The Bucks are defending their AAA World Tag Team Championship. Now, that's the thing I have to question is if AEW is going to be its own brand, why are they having the Bucks defend the AAA World Tag Team Championships there? They should be crowning new AEW Tag Team Champions. And, one thing I have to say is I hope that Cody learned from the mistakes of his father. Now, Dusty Rhodes being one of the greatest minds in the business, the American Dream, baby, the second most recognizable athlete in the world, he was a great mind for the business. Everybody calls, this kind of the non-finish, the Dusty finish. And I really, the problem is, like, Dusty gave himself the titles. So it's, so much. He booked himself as the world champion. A lot of times the thought is, if I can't get somebody over, I'll do it myself. Cody, I think, is a lot smarter to the point where he understands and he knows that he's got people that could be world champion. He's got a guy like Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega, Hangman Page, Pac, which Pac I wouldn't consider a world champion material because he's a cruiserweight. But, whatever the case may be, you notice, that brings me to another thing, and I'll get to in a little bit. But he does have world championship talent surrounding him. Sure, if he gets a run with the title, that's great, but, he's got to understand to get to make it look like he's not promoting just himself. You know what I mean? Like, he'll be able to get it where he's allowing other people he's not holding other people down. Like what people were saying about WCW was that Hogan, Savage, Sting, Luger, the boys, the Millionaires Club, they were holding down the Benoits, the Billy Kidmans, the Eddie Guerreros, the Perry Saturns, Dean Malenko, so on and so forth. So I hope that Cody has the mindset to realize, okay, well, I've got all these guys that I could, put the world title on. Hell, give give Dustin Rhodes a run with the world champion. If he does sign, give Jon Moxley the world title. I'm not saying that Cody can't have the world title, because he's a former Ring of Honor world champion. I believe he's a former New Japan champion. Yeah, of course he can, but he has to know that, he's got other people around him that, have that talent that he could let them run. So he can sit back and book and not be over to the point where everybody else, kind of is being held back. So that's my take on it. I look forward to it. I have a feeling that I'm going to end up buying it Double or Nothing on the Fight app. When it comes closer and watching it, because it's something new, and for so long, it's like I tried to be loyal to WWE, and as a fan, because I look at it this way, I'm a Yankees fan. I'm not going to watch a Red Sox game just to watch baseball. I'm not going to watch a Mets game or a Braves game just to watch baseball. I want to watch the Yankees. So, if it's wrestling, I want to make sure it's WWE. Because I did test the waters of WCW, but they failed me, man. They disappointed me. They went out of business now. No, seriously. I'm a wrestling fan. I'm not just a WWE fan. I've watched MLW. It's tough to keep up. There's not enough time in the world, in the day, in the week, to watch all this wrestling that's on. And it's because of the advent of the internet. We would have never known about 95% of these indies without the internet. I would have never known of championship wrestling from Hollywood if it wasn't for an app on Roku. Or I think it's on the Fight app. Major League Wrestling, which is getting, buzz, but I wouldn't have known it if I didn't hear about it from Tony Schiavone. Then you got Impact, which really fell down, but I've heard they're getting better lately. They've got some newer talent, and they're not run by Dixie anymore. They're not run by Jarrett's. They actually have, a booker, they're actually run by Scott D'Amore and Don Callis. So they actually have Brains and Tommy Dreamer, who are the writing crew. Then there's Ring of Honor. There's New Japan, which back, 10 years ago, we would never be able to watch in the United States other than videotapes or DVDs. Now they have their own New Japan World app. You know what I mean? Their own network. So, not to mention what's on Access with WOW. And, then you've got beIN Sports with MLW. And Lord only knows what else is coming through the pike. So, there's a lot of wrestling out there. And plus, not to mention the WWE's got Raw, SmackDown, NXT, NXT UK, 205 Live. Now they've got Worlds Collide, which, is matching from all of them competing. It's a lot of wrestling. It really is. Alright, so we're going to be back, and I'm going to take a break, grab some water, and got some more stuff to talk about. I'll be right back. Welcome back to Sportswire. My name is Big Daddy Cool Vinny Upsell, of course, and thank you for downloading this. No matter where you get your podcasts, be it iTunes or Apple Podcasts, I should say, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, TuneIn, Radio Public, Castbox, Deezer, Podbean, Podcast Addict, YouTube, wherever you listen to it. Thank you for listening. And just definitely send us a 5-star review if you like what you hear. Okay, so now I'm going to move from AEW over to WWE. Like I said, Money in the Bank coming up on the 19th of May from the XL Center in Hartford, Connecticut, starting at 7 o'clock. And I'm sure the pre-show starts at 6 on the WWE Network. As of right now, here are the matches. Becky Lynch, who's going affectionately by the name Becky Two Belts, is defending both her Raw and SmackDown Women's Championships in separate matches, so she's fighting twice. She's defending the Raw Women's Championship against Lacey Evans. I don't think Lacey is going to end up winning that match. She's still new. This will be, I think, besides the Royal Rumble, this will be her first match actually on the main roster. So, with that said, I think Becky's going to go over and keep the feud going a little bit longer. Seth Rollins defending the WWE Universal Championship against AJ Styles. AJ going over to Raw in the Superstar Shakeup and being the first contender for the Universal Championship, I think is going to be absolutely fantastic. It's going to be a great match. AJ and Seth have fought earlier in their careers in indies. I believe Ring of Honor as well. AJ was Tyler Black when Tyler Black was being called the next AJ Styles. It's going to be a great match either way. I'm looking forward to it. The men's Money in the Bank ladder match. Braun Strowman versus Ricochet versus Drew McIntyre versus Baron Corbin. Those are the 4 Raw people. And then Ali, Finn Balor, Andrade, and Randy Orton. They need to put Orton in there because they needed a veteran in there. Braun Strowman, I don't understand what they're doing with him. He's a giant. Now, granted, Big Show wasn't a Money in the Bank match, and Kane was in quite a few of them. And Braun Strowman did win last year, but I just feel like they have to do something better with Braun. They need to book him better. They need to work on putting him over as a giant, not just a 7-foot-tall regular competitor. That's just not who he is. He actually has to be put over as a giant, and being in the Money in the Bank match just doesn't help his chances. I would love to see Ricochet win that, make a big splash on the main roster now that he's not tagging with Aleister Black anymore. Could you imagine Ricochet versus Seth Rollins for the Universal Championship, or Ricochet versus AJ Styles? Either way, I think that the way the matches are, it's not a heavyweight division anymore. The Universal Championship, even the WWE Championship, it's not that, you notice they dropped the heavyweight out of the title. It used to be World Heavyweight Champion or WWE Heavyweight Champion. No, now it's just WWE Champion and Universal Champion. It's weird because, you look through the years, Hogan over 300 pounds, but then, you get to Warrior Savage, they were both over 250, they were close to 300, but they were more like 275-ish. Hogan was 6'7", 303 pounds. You have obviously Big Show, Kane. Triple H was never 300 pounds. So, I mean, it's kind of, the weight class has been dropped over the years. So, but guys like Seth Rollins and, AJ Styles are around that 230 pound mark. And I think that's why they have to have the cruiserweights at 205 now. Because if you remember back in WCW, Dean Malenko was a cruiserweight. Dean Malenko, who probably was like 225 pounds, 230, was a cruiserweight. Obviously Rey Mysterio will always be a cruiserweight. But, the cruiserweights are 205 and under now. You got a guy like Kalisto that's 195 pounds. It's like, where's the muscle? Alright, I don't know why they have Finn Balor in there. He's the IC champion. He should be defending the title. But I guess they don't want to make every pay-per-view event, the length of WrestleMania. This one wants to stay, to get over about 4 hours, but it is, that's just, I guess, whatever. I wouldn't mind have seen Finn Balor defend the IC Championship against someone. The women's Money in the Bank match. Natalya, Dana Brooke, Naomi, Alexa Bliss from Raw, Bayley, Mandy Rose, Ember Moon, Carmella from SmackDown. I want to see Dana Brooke win, damn it. She deserves the push. She's the best worker that I see on the card. She's got the best body. She's absolutely freaking gorgeous. I want to see Dana Brooke win that women's Money in the Bank ladder match. For the men's, like I said, I want to go with Ricochet. For the women's, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Mandy Rose, but she's there as a pretty face. She's not there for her athletic ability right now. She's still got work to do. Don't get me wrong, she's a great athlete, but she's there for her beauty. Roman Reigns versus Elias. Becky Lynch defending her SmackDown Women's Championship against Charlotte. Snooze, that's happened how many times over the past 3 months? I think Charlotte's going to win. I think they're kind of do it similar to the way they did Night of Champions a couple years ago when Seth Rollins had 2 belts, the U.S. belt and the WWE Championship. They had him lose to John Cena first to lose the U.S. belt, and then Sting came out and they had him beat Sting. So I think that's what's going to happen here is Becky's going to lose the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship to Charlotte to end that feud, and then Lacey's going to come out, think she's picking up the pieces of a defeated champion, and then Becky's going to win. The Miz versus Shane in a steel cage match. I honestly thought that storyline would have been over after Mania with the Falls Count Anywhere match, but it's not. Superstar shakeup. Shane McMahon's in the ring. The Miz comes out. He's been drafted to Raw. Now it's a steel cage match. Shane's going to end up taking a big bump off the cage. We know that already. But I don't know how that match is going to go. I want to say that the Miz is going to win. You know, he'll escape the cage, finally put this storyline done. Which, I'll get into this in a little bit. Just definitely going off this next match. And then Kofi Kingston defending the WWE Championship against Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens was, when he came back, you know, he challenged Daniel Bryan. Everybody thought he was babyface. You know, he was a babyface when he came back. He challenged Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship at Fastlane. He was left off the WrestleMania card. They had nothing for him. I mean, he just come back from injury. And maybe they were planning on bringing him back after Mania, but they needed, I don't know, they needed something else for Fastlane. And then Kevin Owens gets put in with the New Day for a while Big E's recuperating from an injury as the Big O, and then he turns on Kofi on SmackDown a couple weeks ago. It's like it was only 2 weeks that he was with New Day and then turned. I would have booked it a lot differently. I was having a conversation on Twitter with a couple of people. Well, you know, a lot of people, because Twitter. There's really no slow builds anymore. Like, don't get me wrong, Shane and Miz, that was a slow build from October or November, whenever they had the Best in the World tournament, you know, in Saudi Arabia at Crown Jewel. So that was building from then, because, you know, Miz got hurt and Shane had to take over. Shane won the tournament, you know, got the trophy. You know, then they were Miz was trying to court Shane, becoming a tag team with him, co-besties, you know, best of the world, whatever. And, you know, and then they become tag team champions, lose them, Shane turned on it. That was slow, but that's fantastic. Then they have, you know, their trilogy of matches. You know, the one being the first one at WrestleMania should not have been a gimmick, but it's Shane McMahon. It's in WrestleMania. He's got to have a big ass bump. So, you know, it was a Falls Count Anywhere match. You know, and now it's a steel cage match. So that's as slow of a build as you can have nowadays. You know, I really thought they were going to build towards Miz and Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania for the title. But because they switched Daniel Bryan heel, and at the time the Miz was still a heel, even though he's kind of a tweener. I'm a huge Miz fan, and whether he's a heel or a babyface, I love his work, and I love him on the mic. So I honestly feel like, you know, he's one of those guys that could be either a babyface or a heel. So that was a pretty slow build. Becky and Charlotte, that's not really a slow build. More of they just keep repeating the match. Keep repeating the matches. Now, don't get me wrong. When matches are repeats, like Flair and Steamboat, you know, Okada, Omega, which I never saw any of them. I'm just going by what other people say. Then you have Michaels and Bret Hart, Hogan and Savage. You know, which I never thought I'd put a Hogan match in there, but yeah, Hogan and Savage. You know, when you have multiple matches, it's fine as long as they're spread out and they have different, I guess, just, a different element to them. The Charlotte Becky matches have been awesome. Don't get me wrong; they're two of the top women in the industry right now. But at the same time, there's just no. It's all the same. It's like it's the same storyline. It's the same two characters. It's not like, oh well, we were fighting for this now, and then it got brought back. Like when they did the Rock and Cena, the first, where it was once in a lifetime. Let's give it a year build. And then WrestleMania 28 comes around. They have the match. The Rock wins. Cena goes home. Cena goes on with his life and everything. Then he wins the Royal Rumble and challenges The Rock for the title. That was a different storyline, and it was done organically. The Becky Lynch and Charlotte matches seem to be just coming out of nowhere. Like, okay, if they didn't do the whole Charlotte Ronda Becky thing at WrestleMania, Becky won the Royal Rumble for the women. If Charlotte, she could have challenged Asuka, and then Asuka losing the title changes it to Charlotte. Okay, that's an organic rematch. That's an organically done. It's unexpected, whatever. The fact that Becky chose Ronda and then Charlotte got thrown in, and that was just stupid booking. I'm sorry. The match was great, and it left all three girls looking strong. But it wasn't what it should have been. It should have been one-on-one. I'm sorry. To me, the very first women's main event should not have been a triple threat. But yeah, you want to put Ronda Rousey in there because she's, the household name that's bringing all the eyes to WWE women's division. But she's not as great of a worker as, she's not as great of a worker as Charlotte or Becky. So you got to put them in there too. So and I get it. I really do. I get it. I understand completely. Why they did it. But I wonder what this is. Anywho, finding something on my floor, and I don't even know where the hell it came from. Okay. Anywho, with that being said, I want to see something better, in that SmackDown Women's Division. Why couldn't they have, Bayley versus Becky on the Money in the Bank, and put Charlotte in the Money in the Bank match, so that if it comes out again, Charlotte wins the Money in the Bank, and then could challenge Becky. You know what I mean? That would have been organic. So, that's just my take on it. Another slow build. They really don't have any other slow builds on the card as of right now. Roman Reigns versus Elias are just thrown together right now. But remember, this is the first pay-per-view after Mania. So, this is when all the new feuds start. So, of course, I want to see Kofi Kingston and Kevin Owens going, until SummerSlam. And what should have been done, in my opinion, give Kofi let Kofi face someone else, someone who's already established somebody else who's already established in the heavyweight, in the World Championship division. Eric Rowan, for example. You beat Daniel Bryan. Now I'm going to avenge his loss, and let's you beat me. I'm going to take that title from you and give it back to Daniel Bryan. And have Kevin Owens stay part of the New Day for a little while, and keep teasing the friendship, and then let's say Kevin Owens is involved in the Money in the Bank, and then he wins the Money in the Bank. Similar to how Randy Orton did it with the Wyatt family. And You know, because I think that's what happened, wasn't it? Oh no, well, Randy Orton didn't have the Money in the Bank at the time. He just said he wouldn't challenge Bray Wyatt for the title, but then or was it that he won the Royal Rumble? Was that what it was that year? I think that's what it was. Uh, yeah, I believe that's what it was. Where was that, WrestleMania 31? Where or 33? I can't remember off the top of my head. But I think that's what it was. Randy Orton won the Royal Rumble and said he wouldn't challenge Bray Wyatt, and then he turned on him and burned down the Wyatt compound, and so that was good. And then you could add Kevin Owens win the Money in the Bank, say, "Don't worry, I'm not going to cash in on you. I'm not going to cash in on you." Then come, not bragging rights, battle. Standing Ground is a new one, I think. It's not Great Balls of Fire. It's Stomping Ground. Let's say come Stomping Ground. Kofi is having a knockdown, drag-out match with Daniel Bryan, takes him to the limit, and then he squeaks out a win, but he's injured. He's hurt. Bryan had the yes lock on him for so long, or the label lock, and then all of a sudden, Kofi turns it over to a pinning combination, pins him 1, 2, 3. But he's hurt. Kevin Owens in the ring helping him up, and then tells the referee, "Hey, you know what? I'm going to cash in," and then cashes in the Money in the Bank and pins Kofi 1, 2, 3 for the championship. Then they go on to have a match at SummerSlam. That would have been fantastic to watch, because then you have Owens versus the New Day, and those promos would have been fantastic. This to me was just kind of thrown together. But that's why I'm not on the booking committee. That's why I don't get paid the big bucks to book WWE WWE events. Alright, so I'm going to take another break. I'll be right back, and I got some more stuff to go over, including some very emotional stuff from this week's General Hospital. Like I said, I was bringing that into the realm of Sportswire universe. General Hospital is something to talk about now, and if I get people to start watching it, so be it. If not, so be it. But same thing as WWE. It's just soap opera. So I'll be right back. Welcome back to the Sportswire. I am Big Daddy Cool Vinny Apicella, and again, thank you for downloading or listening to wherever it is that you are listening to this podcast. Let's see. So before the break, I did say that I was going to talk about General Hospital. This past week, actually, yesterday's episode, today's episode, were probably the most emotionally driven episodes that I've ever seen, and I've been watching it for a good 10 years now, at least, if not longer. But the fact is holy cow. Yesterday's episode, I swear, and I posted it on my Instagram. I swear, and I think I tweeted it as well. Yesterday's episode, I think Vince Russo wrote it. I mean, it had such a freaking big swerve in it that, holy crap. Alright, so for those of you that don't follow General Hospital, obviously it's a soap opera on ABC every weekday at 2 p.m. I watch it on Hulu every night at 8 p.m. because they release it on Hulu. I watch it without the commercials. So they've had a storyline going on for the past few months, and this is what I'm calling about a slow build. They've had a storyline going on for the past few months of a teenager, Oscar Nero, played by Garen Stitt. He had a brain tumor. Inoperable. It was so big that it was inoperable to the point where it was, not a doctor, intermingling with some of the nerves in the brain tissue and everything, to the point where they couldn't get uh, a clean uh, a clean area added to remove it without permanently having him brain dead. So, obviously it was a waiting game for the past, month or so of shows of whether he was, when he was going to die. And now, General Hospital is known for its legacy characters, the Quartermaines, the Corinthises. It turns out that Oscar was actually a grandchild of the Quartermaines, because his father Drew is actually Jason Morgan's twin brother, who was Alan Quartermaine's kids from Susan Moore. And yeah, so anyways, he turns out to be Quartermaine. Long story. I mean, I keep going. I recommend, if you're gonna try to get into any kind of storylines of General Hospital, you just kind of just start watching and go from there. You can't. There's really no way to explain 50 years of General Hospital. But anyways, with that being said, Oscar is, nearing the end of his life. His girlfriend Jocelyn, who's Carly Corinthos' daughter, she's by his side every waking moment. Anyway, so yesterday's episode starts out with Jocelyn reading to Oscar, who's in bed, and she's just reading to him, and she ends up falling asleep reading. Next, and then Oscar wakes up with an elderly woman coming around the bed, and he says, "I don't know you. Do I know you? I don't know you, but I know you," or whatever he said. And she places her hand on his body, and it shows that, obviously, if you're a lifelong General Hospital fan or viewer, you would know that the elderly woman is Lila Quartermaine, the matriarch of the Quartermaine family, who was probably the most human, most caring person ever, to the fact that the summer camp is called Lila's Kids. But anyway, so Oscar wakes up after she puts her hand on his heart, and he's like, "Jocelyn, wake up," and she's like getting up, and he hadn't been able to walk, so he gets out of bed. His parents come up, say, "Hold on, wait, you don't stand up." He's like, "No, I feel great. I can stand up." They take him to the hospital. His endocrinologist, does all the tests, and they triple check, and come to find out the brain tumor was gone. It just miraculously just disappeared. There's some scar tissue, but the tumor is just gone. And Oscar is full of life, and he's going to live and everything. And, because so many people were so upset that they were, going to kill off a teenager. And, this had me bawling, because I was crying for joy. I'm like, oh my God, that's so awesome. Because I'm thinking to myself, going back into GH history, I'm like, why can't people call Patrick Drake, who's the best neurosurgeon around, and, whatever, but Patrick Drake, played by Justin Thompson. Justin Thompson is now on The Restless, so they'd have to recast, and whatever. So anyways, he wakes up, and, he's up, and he goes to see Carly and Sonny, and, because Jocelyn takes him and says, guess what? He's cured. He's not going to die. They have a party. All the family is there, and just absolutely a feel-good moment. Just like I want to say the entire episode is this feel-good moment. Now everybody's like, "Oh my God, he's just going to live." This is a miracle, and they're trying to explain it scientifically, saying that some people that are cancer patients get an end of life reprieve, where it's like when they come off all of the medications, their body kind of just does a rally and gets them there, but it could be only momentarily or temporary or whatever, just to say goodbye. But this was just a true miracle that, holy crap. Okay, and they show, while Oscar's in the hospital, while they're talking to the doctor, they show the back of Lila and Edward. Edward being the patriarch of the Quartermain family, and and they could only show him from behind because both of the actors who had portrayed them passed away, so they could only do it as like ghosts, and so holy crap. So the party's there. He's saying thank you for everything. I wouldn't have done it without you. Sometimes I wasn't grateful enough to, whatever. Just on and on and on. And this is just absolutely fantastic. Because everybody's like, I'm thinking, holy shit, this is just awesome. Then I made the mistake of looking at my Instagram, and somebody, the General Hospital, promoted the show for the day, and somebody had posted, oh my god, this is so heartbreaking, whatever. So I'm thinking to myself, well, wait a minute, hang on. I didn't want to read any spoilers. So, because, like I said, I watch it at 8 o'clock. So, I'm watching it, I'm like, why was it heartbreaking? I'm like, this is great. The kid's going to live. Then he starts seeing things. And it's starting to kind of make sense that it's a dream. He starts seeing Sonny and Carly with their new baby, and then he sees graduation day, and Jocelyn walks out, in her cap and gown, with another guy, and then they show Oscar's mother being proposed to by her boyfriend, and so there was another thing, and then Oscar pulls Jocelyn aside and says, I have to go, because they kind of show Edward and Lila sitting outside the place where the party is, and Oscar says, I have to go home now. And then it's like hitting you, oh my god, this is a dream. And he starts explaining, I'm only still here because I didn't want to let you go, because I didn't want to leave you, and this and that, and oh my god, what he was saying was just heartbreaking. And then they come back to real life, the opening scene where Jocelyn is reading to Oscar, and she dozes off and drops the book, and then you see, again, Lila and Edward in the, hallway, and Oscar wakes up, and he gets up from the bed, but his body's still there, so it's his spirit leaving. And he goes over to Jocelyn, gives her a kiss on the cheek, and says, I love you, and he says, I love you. And, and then walks, and that's where it ends. And then today, they come back with the whole thing, and Jocelyn realizes that he's gone. And, the aftermath, and how everybody is reacting to the fact that he passed away. And, oh my god, like I said, the two most emotionally driven episodes of General Hospital that I've ever seen. And oh my god, even yesterday, like I said, it was such a swerve at the end. I literally tweeted and posted, and I tagged him too. I said, did Vince Russo write this? What a swerve, bro. Oh my god. I was crying. First tears of joy because I thought the kid was being healed. And then come to find out that it was a dream and the kid is actually dying and he's actually dead. And oh my god. You could follow Garen Stitt on Twitter. It's Garen, though. ITSGARRENTHO. He did phenomenal. He played that part perfectly. And, GH gets a lot of flack for killing off, younger actors to keep older ones. It's almost like the, WWE, where they're keeping the old timers around, and, Brock Lesnar, the part timer, is a champion. Everybody is being held down, and they're letting these younger wrestlers go. But, it's like with GH, it's like they get a lot of flack for it, but it's like the storylines are just, they're relevant, and they let people relate to them. There are parents that have had to bury their children. A couple years ago, Morgan Corinthos was killed in in a car accident. It was actually a car bomb, you know, but, the way they did it was absolutely, it's the storytelling, it's the storylines. And you can't tell me that, the writing isn't fantastic. And, it's like a lot of people say, oh, well, you're a guy, soap operas are for women. Well, you know what? I watch the WWE, and the WWE is a soap opera. And I don't care what you say. It has more athleticism than, daytime TV, but it's still a soap opera. It has storylines. It's like you're trying to get from one place to another utilizing characters. And it's the same all around. As a matter of fact, David Otunga actually was on General Hospital for a couple episodes a few years ago as a guest. So don't tell me that, guys can't watch soap operas. I mean, I happen to love the writing, and it's awesome. Have I watched Young and the Restless or Bold and the Beautiful? No, I haven't. And I've watched Young and the Restless a little bit, or Days of Our Lives or whatever, just because I knew one of the actors that was on there was from General Hospital. I just want to see them in their new role. But that's it. But General Hospital is my one. I mean, I did watch One Life to Live and All My Children every so often, and I did watch the relaunches when they came through on Prospect Park on Hulu, because those were just great. But other than that, no, I stick with General Hospital every day, and which is, it's been going on for 56 years. They're in year 57 now. So I think they're the second longest running soap opera. I think Young and the Restless or Days of Our Lives is actually longer on the air. But to have that legacy, and they're on every day. So, it's not like WWE where they only produce like Raw once a week. No, they're on every day. Could you imagine the writers in there? They're an hour show every single day. Obviously not the weekends, but Monday through Friday, with the exception of holidays and stuff. And I think General Hospital is like they write and film 3 weeks ahead of time. So if what they're filming today will be on in like 3 weeks. Days of Our Lives is 6 months out. So what they're writing for won't be on until what are we in May now? So it won't be on until November. So that's crazy. But I have to say, like I said, I love the writing. A couple more news and notes to kind of go over as I'm thinking about it. Just I want to let you guys know that coming soon, we're going to have our own website, www.sportswireaudio.com. That is in the works, so stay tuned for that. I'll let you know when it goes live. I am working on it. So I just bought the domain today, sportswireaudio.com. Let's see, tonight Yankees lost to the Diamondbacks 3-2, I think. Yes, it looks like that's what it was. Interleague play. I want to see if we can get to the standings of Major League Baseball. Oh, wow. 2-game sweep. Wow. That's crazy. Yep. They, 2-game sweep. That's bad. Okay. I like that win probability. That's fun. Let's see. I want to get to Major League Baseball. There we go. Standings. Now I'm a Yankees. Like I said, I'm a Yankees fan through and through. The Yankees are actually in second place, 2.5 games out of first, behind Tampa Bay. They're 17-13, which isn't bad. Boston is 14-18, 6.5 games out. It's still, the season's only a month old. A month in. The Mets are in second place, 16-15, a game and a half behind the Phillies in the National League East. So go Mets! Yeah, go Mets! Woohoo! Houston on top of the AL West, 18-14. It's like it's been so many years now, and I'm still not used to Houston being in the American League. I mean, for years they were the national. They were the National League. Obviously, that's where they, were brought up. Jeff Bagwell, Craig Biggio, Derek Bell, the Killer Bees. That was all National League. Now they're in the American League, and I think now they have interleague game play every week. Craziness. And everybody's talking about maybe the games are too long or the season is too long. It goes back to the fact that we as Americans have a very bad attention problem. We can't pay attention to things longer than, it has to go by quickly, and, it's sad, which is why a long building feud like Hogan-Andre wouldn't last nowadays. Hogan-Warrior, it's like, and Hogan-Warrior actually was, being built actually from the Royal Rumble, but that's, so that's what I'm talking about. It's like a few months, give it a few months to build. Now, back then they didn't have Raw, they didn't have weekly TV in terms of, live TV. They had the syndicated stuff, but those were all squash matches. I miss squash matches, I really do, because it kind of just helped. See, the problem with the way it is now, okay? The problem with the way it is now is that it's 50-50 booking. You're having main event matches, named superstars, matches every episode, every match, to the point where, okay, well, this guy's going to win this week, but he'll lose next week. And you don't build anybody. At least when they had the syndicated shows and they had the squash matches from house show events, it focused on the person, whether it was the face or the heel, getting their moves in, building them up, working the heat, building their momentum to the point where now you have a guy that's won 4, 5, 6 matches in a row facing another guy that won 6 matches in a row. Now let's see who's the better guy or the better tag team or whatever. That's what's missing in wrestling today. So it is what it is. So that's what I'm going to leave you off with. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. I'm going to try to steer away from politics if I can. I know a lot of people don't like they don't like President Trump, but he's winning. He's getting things done. So, I mean, his approval rating on the economy is at an all-time high, higher than Obama's ever was. So he's doing what he's got to do to get things done. And after the fact, they came out with no collusion with Russia for the election. He's on a winning streak, and you know what? He's not going anywhere. But next week we'll be back. Like I said, I know it's a little late coming out, but we'll be back next week. My name is Big Daddy Cool Vinny Episode. Like I said, download it anywhere you find podcasts. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, TuneIn, Radio Public, Deezer, CastBox, Podbean, Podcast Addict, YouTube, Spreaker, everywhere you can find podcasts. That's where we are. Have a good night, everybody. Have a good week. We'll see you next week.